All right, 7th grade, Wednesday, May the 6th, evaluate the expression. One set of directions today. We got 5 examples we're going to do in this video. So let's move right along. When it says evaluate the expression, you actually need to come up with an answer for the problem. All right? So let's start with this one, 10 to the power of 3. You should already know that 10 to the power of 3 is the same as 10 times 10 times 10. So we should just be able to use our zeros trick. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And then I add the 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. I get 1,000. If we go to this one, I have negative 7 to the power of 4. You should be able to go into your calculator, okay? And I would encourage you, when you use your calculator and do that, to actually put in the parentheses. You'll notice that the negative 7 is in parentheses, and here we have a negative outside the parentheses. So remember what this means. We're actually going to take negative 7 times negative 7 times negative 7 times negative 7. Where this one here, when we get to this one, we'll be taking 1 over 6 times 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 1 over 6 again. Whatever we get as an answer, we're going to put a negative sign in front of it. That's the difference between the negative sign being outside the parentheses and it being inside the parentheses. It means two totally different things. And yes, it matters where you put that negative sign. So for this one here, I'm going to open up my parentheses. So I'm going to open up parentheses, all right, and I'm going to put in 7 negative. I'm going to close parentheses. All right, you'll saw that my little parentheses there are gone now. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my exponent. I'm going to put in 4, and it's going to equal 2,401. And so, sure enough, my final answer is 2,401. Pretty straightforward. You could have done that with this one too, but sometimes it's also another way to think about it. Now, chances are, if your calculator is anything like mine, if I were to punch in 1 over 6, okay, and in fact, let me go ahead and put that in parentheses. You'll see here that a little parentheses opened up there. So I'm going to put in 1 over 6. I'm going to close parentheses. Now you see that little parentheses there is gone. Now if I go and put in an exponent and say, well, I want an exponent of 6, and I put in an equal sign, I'm going to get some crazy decimal. That is not what I want. Mr. Swack does not want you to put an answer like that. So if you're working with fractions, you want to keep it in fractions. So really what you want to think about is, well, what is 1 to the power of 6? All right, well, 1 to the power of 6 is going to be 1 multiplied out 6 times. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Well, 1 times 1 is 1. When I times it by 1 again, it's still 1. When I times it by 1 again, it's still 1. Doesn't matter how many times I multiply 1 out. The answer is going to be 1. But then I have to do 6 to the power of 6. Well, that's pretty straightforward. I can do that on my calculator. 6 exponent of 6 equals 46,656. 46,656. So I'm going to get 46,656. But there's my negative sign here, so I need to make sure I have my negative sign right there. And it's negative 46,656. All right, now, let's make it a little more advanced. Here we have some order of operations. 3 plus 6 times negative 5 to the power of 2. Well, the order of operations tells me to clear parentheses first. So here I have a negative 5 in parentheses squared, or to the power of 2. So I'm going to do negative 5 times negative 5. Well, negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. So I'm going to do that. Now I've got 3 plus 6 times 25. Order of operations, please, parentheses, excuse exponents. M, my dear, multiplication and division left to right. Aunt Sally, addition and subtraction left to right, or PEMDAS, PEMDAS. Those are things we've gone over before. But the order of operations tells me I have to multiply first. So the first thing I have to do is 6 times 25. Well, when you plug that into your calculator, 6 times 25, you get that that equals 150. So I can just cross that off like I would at school on the board, and that's going to be 150. Then I'm left with 3 plus 150. Well, that's pretty straightforward. 3 plus 150 equals 153. All right, let's look at this last one. This one looks interesting. We got these 2 bars here, and then we've got parentheses. All right, we'll review all that here momentarily. But of course, as we said before, the order of operations tells me I have to do what's in parentheses first. So I'm looking at this, and this is just adding and subtracting, so it looks like I should be, I guess, clearing exponents first within the parentheses. So 1 to the power of 10, that's 1 multiplied out 10 times. Well, remember what we said, 1 times 1 is 1, times 1 is 1, times 1 is still 1. It doesn't matter how many times we multiply out about 1. It's just going to be 1. So I'm just going to cross off my 10, and that's going to be 1. Well, let's deal with 2 to the power of 3. Well, that's going to be 2 times 2 times 2. You should be able to do that without a calculator, 7th grade. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So this 2 to the power of 3 is going to get changed to an 8. So now I'm looking at 1 plus 9 minus 8. Well, 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. So I'm going to cross all that out, and that's going to become 2. But I don't want to get rid of the parentheses yet, because the parentheses really, as we know, indicate multiplication. Because here I have negative 1 over 3 right next to the parentheses. So I've got negative 1 over 3 times 2. Well, negative 1 over 3 times 2. Okay, so if I'm going to do some scratch work here, 1 over 3 times 2, which is 2 over 1. I know that 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 1 is 3, so I get 2/3. But the 1/3 is really a negative, so this answer is really a negative 2/3. And what I'm left with, if I come over here, is these 2 bars and negative 2/3. Well, what in the world do these 2 bars mean that were here? They have to mean something. They're not there just to look good. Well, remember, if you remember what those mean, those bars mean absolute value. Absolute value. Absolute value, remember, refers to how far away a number is from 0 on the number line. So if I'm at negative 2/3, the absolute value, how far am I away from 0, is just 2/3. The absolute value of 9 is 9, because 9 is 9 away from 0. The absolute value of negative 92 is 92, because it's 92 spaces away from 0. Just like the absolute value of negative 2/3 is just 2/3, because it's 2/3 of a spot away from 0. All right, have a good day, 7th grade. We'll talk to you later.